Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped, something sick.
I wasn't expecting that
either. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
And then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny, I haven't seen that before.
It feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things, of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
Yeah, today I just feel kind of empty, actually. Yeah, it's like I'm longing for something. It's like I need something to fill up something.
Okay.
It's kind of empty and lonely, I think, what I feel right now. And usually when I feel that, I try to do something, right? Be busy, just to kind of not have that feeling, because it's kind of but I decided just to kind of just not to go away from it.
Great. You can learn about it.
Yeah. But I think, I don't think, I would, if you have notes, it may make sense that we start where we left off last time.
Okay.
Or going into this emptiness, but I would really, because we were starting on something really important.
Yes.
And now it's been about 3 weeks, I think, or maybe only 2. So I need your help to get back into it.
Okay.
If that's where I want to go. If you have something.
I have a couple notes. The part we talked to last time was rage, anger. And it was in relation to a part you were calling the guilty one. But we spent pretty much the whole time getting to know the anger and the rage. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
so maybe you could just see, you can look at those parts and the lonely, empty parts together and just see what feels right to go to first.
Yeah. The thing is that these protectors, they change faces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was, they can go from, it's like it's like this kind of masquerade in a way. It's angry, and then it's sad, and then it feels guilty, and then it feels numb, and then it's so I'm a little. It's hard to get hold of exactly where I want to go or where I feel like what I'm drawn to.
Yeah, I get that. Happens to me too when I'm a client.
Yeah.
And I just invite that part too, the part that, or the feeling that, this is hard and that I need to pick the right one. If you're having that feeling.
Yeah, I have sort of that feeling. And then there is something else that is lingering in my mind, or not lingering, it's kind of pushing. I want some space. And I don't know if this is a part or not. And that is a part, it's a very black and white way of thinking or reacting. And that is, don't stop me.
Okay.
So maybe if you go there first, because there's anger in that. And there's also fear in that. And okay. Of course, I can tell you a million stories about it, but I don't know if that's okay. So okay. So I don't want to. Basically, the outline is that I must have felt it's all connected with everything else we've been talking about. I must have felt, in addition to the feelings of sadness and rage and fear, this is kind of a blended feeling reaction. I must have felt that I was stopped a lot. I was stopped from or robbed. I mean, we can go all the way back to the baby. She was robbed of innocence, right? Then I was stopped from having my father. I was stopped from having my wants, right? So and then even when I did what I wanted, because I did that sometimes, it was kind of going upstream. I had to push because there were always these forces that wanted to stop me from doing it.
Right.
So I have talked about that before, actually, that I couldn't really feel any pleasure in even the times when I kind of did something that I had thought at least thought I had wanted, because there had been so much struggle in getting there, right? And the reason this got triggered was kind of interesting. Because in the moment I reacted really well, I think. This was with my daughter, and I went to see her because she was going to have a voice recital, just a small one, and she wanted me to come. So I arrived, but for some reason there's a lot of background, but she didn't feel well in the morning, and then obviously she got really anxious during the recital. She has a beautiful voice. So she was singing all these really high notes. It's really like something that I could never do. And suddenly she just stopped and said, I can't do it in the middle. Because she got anxious and her voice kind of completely contracted. And so we just left the whole thing, and she felt really, really bad and embarrassed. And at that point, I was just a mom, right? I was just supporting her, and she felt bad because I had come this long way, and she felt bad that she hadn't been able to go through with it, and that she couldn't, blah blah. A lot of things she felt bad about. But there I was just, I actually proud of how I was there, because it was nothing about me. It was just about her.
Yes.
And then I came home, and the next morning, this was this week. The next morning, I felt a panic but she had done something that I never did. She had stopped in the middle. I usually I stopped before because I never got to it. But for me, that was when I got back to myself. What had happened to her? And she was stopped by herself, right? She was stopped by her own anxiety,
right?
But to me, it's so uncanny. It triggered this real. I wasn't
that says don't stop.
Yeah. It was that, and I wasn't kind of overtaken by it because I didn't feel stopped in the moment. I was in my own apartment. I was making breakfast, whatever I was doing, but I could feel that floodgate of those.
Yeah.
And that was how it came up. And that.
Yeah.
So that was actually, this was yesterday when I kind of got aware of all of this. And there is a lot of importance there to me. But is that a part? What
Sounds
is
like
that?
Yeah.
Because
you said there's importance there. Is that the part's importance, or you're saying this feels like an important part, or is the part saying this is really important?
Okay.
Don't stop in the middle of a recital.
I think the important. Okay, so if I go to be an adult and kind of look at it, the importance of it is that I even today can have knee-jerk reactions from that part. I am being stopped.
Yes. Okay.
And it usually comes when I get that knee-jerk reaction. It's not when I'm walking on the street, somebody stopping me, asking me for directions or whatever. That's I'm not like that. But it's when I am in a good place. For example, if I'm running and I feel I'm in a flow. And if a dog crosses my path, I want to just jump on my leg. I get that knee-jerk reaction that this dog is stopping me.
Yeah,
that's what goes through my. It's totally crazy, but that's what goes through my mind and body. It's like I'm being stopped.
Okay.
So, and there are other situations too that are more kind of.
Yeah. Definitely sounds like a part. I'm sure if we get to know it, you'll find out how not crazy it is.
So that is the importance of it, that I still react from it in certain situations. And it's usually when I feel like I'm, So maybe.
Feel like, what are the feelings around it when it comes up?
Today, it's when okay, so what it feels like, it's like an intrusion. That's what it feels like. And it comes up it comes up if I have it can come up if I don't have a good feeling too. I think that's why I react so badly to customer service representatives. It's like, you're stopping me, you're taking my time. I can be, I have to hold myself to be nice to them, poor people. Not always.
When you said it feels like an intrusion, does the part feel like it's intruding on you, or is the part being intruded upon and it's saying don't stop?
Part is being so it's. It's always other people, or a dog. It's other creatures. Right. There's a creature. There's a creature that is intruding on something in me and taking away a temporary equilibrium that I had or was in, not allowing me to be there in a way.
Okay. And how do you notice it as it comes up in your body? What are the sensations that this part brings up in you that says, don't stop? Don't stop me.
Don't stop me. It's like I tense. My shoulders tense.
Mm-hmm.
My whole body tenses. And I almost stop breathing. And my stomach kind of...
Okay. And you're noticing all that now in your body?
I can make, it's like stopping me.
Okay.
And then I kind of steel myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I react in some way. I either just have an internal monologue with myself or I can even yell, or I can kind of try to sneak around it to kind of get to the other side anyway, whatever the other side is.
Okay. So those sound like other parts that are other strategies that are trying to manage this one that has this really strong sensation, this tension in your shoulders.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I realized that if I'm able to focus on my shoulders at that moment, which I have been able to sometimes, then it lessens. It can go away, and I can kind of get hold of myself, and I can say,
That's awesome.
It's just a cute dog. It just wants to play, Because if I walk on the street, I pet other people's dogs and I talk to the dog owners. It's not that I hate dogs. No, it's not. It's not. It's
when
not
you focus
that.
on the shoulders, it lessens, and that's the first question and the first step in the IFS process is noticing where you notice it in your body.
Yeah.
So you've done that.
I'm not always able to do that, but if I'm present enough, then I can do that, and then and then I feel more in control and more expansive, and it really doesn't matter that much, right?
And if self isn't present, then you have these other parts that want to scream or want to sneak around it.
Yes.
Right. Great. How are you feeling towards it right now?
It's weird. On one level, I feel some kind of kinship with it because I do understand where it originally came from. I'm a little bit judgmental that I wish.
The judgmental part is welcome. What does it want to say?
The judgmental part is saying that its map is wrong, or that that
it's overreacting.
It's overreacting. It's reacting from an old script.
Yeah, it could be right. That judgmental part could be right. So you could thank it for its input.
Yeah. But there's so much anger in that part. And just now I saw the picture of myself being 7 and that put me in that hospital again. And I was probably furious. And the nurse said to me, "You're an angry child." Yes. I didn't say anything. She just saw it.
Okay.
And it was like being stopped from just being alive in a way.
Yeah, you said it's being stopped from having this equilibrium.
Yeah.
When you have that forward motion, you're living, and someone comes to intrude.
Somebody comes and intrudes.
Mm-hmm. See if you can invite this part that says, "Don't stop me," to notice you. Are you feeling less judgmental, more curious about it now? Or compassionate?
The feeling of I can feel I can feel compassion. I can feel
Yes.
that how I don't know which word to put on it, but let's just say awful, because I don't know which other word to put on it right now. Incredibly awful it must have been to have that feeling of being stopped and robbed all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So let it know that you see that you feel that you get how awful that would feel. Just invite it to notice you and ask it what it wants you to know.
It wants me to know that okay, so first it's saying, by the way, it's saying, I was also stopped of sleep. And that is when my mother took me into her bed. That's not, that's not grammatically correct, but I don't care. So what it's saying that it could never relax because of course, it goes back to the same thing. It wasn't safe. It could never relax. It could never just let go, because if it let go, it was intruded on.
Right.
And in a way, it was better to always be hyper vigilant, because then the intrusion was less than if it was just, in a state of bliss, if that's possible, because then it was a shock. It was a shock to the system. It was a shock. Yeah. And this goes all the way back to that little infant being in bliss, and then the shock. It's so painful that no place just to be.
Yeah. How's the part feeling as it's able to share this with you?
it's almost like it's almost getting itself into a tantrum.
Okay.
Because it's saying things like, don't you see how I can't even find it, how entangled it has all been for me?
Yeah. And do you see that?
I do.
Okay.
But I do, and I do, but it's so hard to fathom.
Okay.
Because I started stopping myself too.
Right. Right.
I mean, anorexia, I stopped myself from eating.
Yeah.
I was OCD for probably almost 10 years.
So
I had all these intrusive thoughts.
You have these intrusive thoughts, right? Intruders.
Yes.
You created internal intruders, or parts became internal intruders.
For stopping myself from feeling.
Right. And did exactly what this part had been fighting in the external world, which was being intruded upon.
Yeah.
And it's saying now to you that well, it's tantruming, and you're saying that you can hardly fathom, just what it's like. So stay with the part. Let it know that you see these other parts that have become internal intruders.
Mm-hmm.
The OCD, the anorexia.
Mm-hmm.
Let it know that you want to understand what it's like for it, that it's okay for it to have a tantrum. If that means helping you understand, helping you fathom really what it was like.
It's almost like I don't see real arms, but I see things kind of going up in the air that could be arms or limbs or whatever. It's like, it was so chaotic. It was so chaotic. And it was like, and all these what these internal intruders did, and it tried to do, was to create all kinds of means, kind of shock absorbers, like bumpers on a car.
Exactly. It's a chaotic, shocking world. And these parts are doing what they can to absorb that. And bouncing off each other too, right there.
And the tranquilizer is in there too. The guilty one is in there. They're all in there. They're all some of absorbing shocks in various fashions.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you're able to see them all.
Yeah. They're wild. It's not a party because they're not happy, but it's almost like they're stamping around in there.
Mm-hmm. See if you can just stay with the one, ask the others for space. The one that was tantruming, the one that says, "Don't stop me."
Don't stop me. Stop me.
Just stay with it. Stay asking for it to tell you about its experience. That you really want to understand it.
That part itself is so full of guilt.
Mm.
because it has all these wants and needs.
If it didn't have the wants and needs, it wouldn't see these other things as being intrusive.
It wouldn't see them, it wouldn't see them being intrusive. It would just be okay with it.
Right.
Maybe.
Makes sense to me.
It feels kind of guilty for being so active, for being so temper tantrum-like, for being so angry, for being so vigilant, for kind of just, it can't stop screaming, don't stop me.
Does it make sense to you that it would feel guilty for that? And that people in parts have also heaped on guilt around that?
Oh, yeah.
It's not okay to be angry. It's not okay to want so much.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. Just let it know you're getting that.
Yeah, I get that. Because, you're supposed to be considerate and thinking about everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. And then you have this mother you had to keep alive, because if you didn't, yeah.
Right. That's the ultimate guilt, right? If you're responsible for your mother's life.
Mm-hmm. But it can't stop. It hears all that. It hears all that, and it sees all that, and it feels its big should, but it can't stop anyway.
What's the should?
The should, that it should be considerate and think about everybody else and be nice and keep itself together.
And does it feel that coming from you? When you're here listening to it, are you shoulding it?
When this comes over me, when I'm running, then I'm shoulding it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean right now. Ask it
right now.
How its experience of being with you is.
No, I'm not shoulding it.
Right.
I'm not shoulding it. I totally understand why it can't stop.
Right.
Or totally. I don't know. That's maybe too strong a word, but no, I understand that it's desperate. It's.
And does it notice you? Does it see you there in your understanding? And if not, invite it to. Maybe get closer, or maybe ask it to turn towards you.
Yeah, I think it senses me, but it doesn't really have a relationship with me.
Right. Right. Would it like to have a relationship with someone who doesn't tell it what it should do and is okay with it?
Yeah.
And understands it, reacting in the way it does.
Suddenly I became blank. And I know why I became blank, but it might have a bigger significance.
Okay.
It was all okay. I don't even, well, I thought I heard somebody knocking on the door, and immediately I thought it's that guy who has kind of been stalking me.
Yeah.
He hasn't done it for a while, and it probably was nobody at the door, but it was like, it was kind of bring to the present somebody stopping me or intruding on me.
Right. It felt like that.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Okay. Feel free to take a minute to go check your door if that makes you feel better.
No, it's
okay.
I wouldn't want to open the door if it was in. I haven't seen him for what 2 weeks. He has almost stopped sending me messages. It's if he was there, I would. If he was there in the state I am now, I think I would kick him. Or scream at him or something. I don't know if I could go back into him, or I could kind of be the considerate me and kind of go back and be considerate. Maybe I would be able to do that too. That would be false.
Well, thanks to that blanking part. When I get interrupted on these calls, I also go blank because sometimes you need to attend to something out there. So
yeah,
it's fine.
Let's see if I can get closer to this part. Or if the part wants to get closer to me.
Yeah, we were asking about it having a relationship with you.
Yeah.
And what it thinks about that.
I think it's noticing me now. Oh, there you are. It's saying. And then it's saying, can I trust you?
Yeah. What does it need from you to know that it can trust you?
I think the first thing is not to try to stop it or rationalize it.
Okay.
That if it needs to have another tantrum, I have more tantrums. I don't know if it needs to, but if it needs to, then don't stop it.
Okay.
Then,
how do you feel about that request? Is that doable?
That's yes, that's doable.
Okay.
Then if it's going to have trust in me, it needs to feel that I'm not judging.
Okay.
And I think I can do that too.
I know that you can do that. I know that you have parts that judge this part, and we've already met them.
But right here and now, I'm not judging it because even if I'm not going back and fully living in that pain, I can see from the outside what an awfully terrible, knotted, spiky, I don't know, yucky place it has been.
Yeah.
And I can see that it has just been so much desperation that it just acted. It just acted. I mean, it was no calm place to say, okay, maybe I have choices. I can do A or I can do B. Yeah, A sounds better. No, it was just
push through. Don't stop.
Yeah, just push through. Yeah.
All right. So it doesn't want to be stopped by you. It doesn't want to be rationalized. And it wants to not be judged.
And, it also, that part, I said it felt guilty, but I think it's more shame. I don't know how connected those two feelings are. But it feels more like when it looks at it, okay, so basically, I don't think it's me, but when it looks at itself, a part of it feels really shameful. And maybe that's guilt. Doesn't matter. It matters, but it
matters that you see it for what it is, and not that you label it correctly.
Yeah. And it almost like it wants me to not shy away from that, just to see that.
That's right. Yeah. These parts know what they need. It could be a part of it. It could also be another part, perhaps.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the exile, because often that's the dynamic, is one part that's fighting and managing on the outside, and then another part that's carrying shame, often that's been exiled.
So maybe it's the exile then. Well,
but you would treat it the same. I mean,
I would treat,
exactly like this part is saying. It wants you to go towards that and be okay with that.
Yeah.
Just the way that you went towards this part and got other parts out of the way and showed it that you're okay with it. And that it does have a place to be. Earlier it said it didn't feel like it had a place to be. And that's what you can offer it.
No wonder. I don't know, but it makes sense. It feels right to me that it's protecting something that feels really shameful.
Mm-hmm. And does this protective part trust you to work with that shame?
It doesn't think I have ill will. And it actually does. I think it does realize that that's hard for me, right?
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's the hardest thing.
It's the hardest thing.
We have shame and we bury it, and then we have 100 protectors, and we're all in the same boat. So
yeah.
It's because it's hard.
All I can say to that part that I would like to try and that I also feel compassion for the shame, even if I don't understand it.
Right. Yeah. So what's the part's response? Does it have any other requests or anything that it wants to show you or ask of you or negotiate with you around your work with it or your work with the part that carries shame?
It's asking me not to be. I don't know if I think that is in relation to the shame, but it could also be in relation to it. It's asking me not to be over eager, to not to it's asking me to go slowly and not to kind of pretend to take on more than I can.
Yeah. We've heard other parts say that. Maybe all of them.
Yeah.
When you've really gotten down to it. And it's so common. It's so common, right? Because they've been in there for decades doing their thing. Suddenly we open the door and say, okay, we're here and we're here to fix it all.
Exactly. I have my toolkit with me. Yeah.
Right. When it comes to building relationships, slow is fast. And this part, was saying it didn't have a relationship with you. So that, that might be some place to just stay in the building the relationship with this part.
Yes.
And you can check with it.
It could be that was part of what it means by not going fast.
Yeah. Hey, we just met. We just met in this way.
Yeah, I think I have more to learn about it. Not stop me, because I got puzzled for a moment. I was thinking, what is the connection between don't stop me and shame? Because I have an inkling of where the shame is going and I could be wrong, but if my inkling was right, was on the right track, then I have more to learn about that don't stop me part, because it's a lot I don't understand, to put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And because you were saying it's like a knee-jerk reaction. So, right. It's been kind of jumping out of the shadows. Unlike these managers that are kind of just with us all the time or whatever that we are more familiar with.
Yeah. And it's also, and I think one of the reasons I don't have it, and, it is saying that it doesn't really have a relationship with me, is because I think it's one of the parts, because of course I've been aware of it, but to me, it has been so black and white that I've been saying to it when it has come up, come on,
right.
Be rational.
Right. Those are other parts of you.
Exactly.
So, and of course, those parts want it to go away, and they have their reasons for that. But it's good to just, make that clear with this part, that these other parts have been doing that. You see that.
Yeah.
And that the way to fix that isn't, if you say, well, I'm doing that, well, then the way to fix it would be for you to do something different. But if you recognize that it's other parts, then
there are other parts.
Then the solution is just to get between the parts. It's just to get the separation and the space with the parts, rather than you have to be a different person tomorrow. It's just a reconfiguring of the seats in the room.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's that makes total sense, that this part, and I think I can actually ask it. I feel that it's saying the only reason I can be heard is to have a temper tantrum.
Right. That's been the way that it has been heard. And you can offer it, hey, maybe from now on you can just tap me on the shoulder and let me know what's up.
Yeah.
Get my attention another way.
Yeah. Because now, yeah.
So what feels right next?
Okay, I think I need to tell it. I need to tell it, but I think I need to ask all the other parts that has intervened when this part comes up, that don't try to stop it. Just to give that part space.
And those other parts are going to say, and that's not safe. We have to stop it. Right?
Stop it. No, but it's having a temper tantrum because it feels invisible.
And what makes it feel less invisible?
What makes it feel less invisible is that
yes.
I think it's feeling less invisible right now because it hears me recognizing it, that it's there.
Right. So this is kind of like we were talking about in our last conversation, I think, where it's not necessary that the parts all get along.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have their disagreements and different strategies and preferences. So I'm just thinking about shifting rather than telling these parts how they need to react to that part. It's more about getting self in between and being the central focus so that the temper tantruming part tantrums to you or taps you on the shoulder, ideally. The part that has judgment about this other part that's throwing a temper tantrum, that judgment comes to you. And you're that adult in the room that is able to hear and respond to each of the parts individually.
Yeah. There is a fear, though, in that's probably another part again. That's saying, but if you recognize this part, it will take over. Because
hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened. No, it hasn't happened.
I mean, in all of our every conversation we have is recognizing parts and recognizing them in more fully than we had before. This is a new relationship, right? It's by not recognizing them that they take over.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, and the part that's saying that probably needs its own recognition. The fear that we don't know how to do this, or that parts are going to overwhelm. It also needs to get to know you and to get to trust you.
But this part, it's out there, or it's in there. It feels like it's in the world, all alone. Nobody's giving it anything or sharing anything with it, whether it's love or recognition or space or acceptance or whatever it is.
Okay. That's what it needs.
And that is why it's, so everything, in order to stay alive, it has to get it all. It has to find a way to get at least something.
Love, space, recognition.
Trust, compassion, acceptance, peace.
Okay. Can you do that? Can you do that for it?
Can I give it all that? It's like, can I give myself that?
It's a part. Can self give the part love, space, acceptance, trust, peace, compassion, recognition?
I want to.
I thought you did in this conversation. And every other conversation where self has been present, it seems like its natural inclination and ability and direction is to do exactly that for each part.
Yes. I want to, but it's no but. Well,
we can hear what the but is. There's
the but
parts that have doubts. Yeah.
The but is that in order for it to be able to receive it, it needs to feel that I will also be able to give that to the one it's protecting.
Yes, absolutely. These parts are so smart.
Because then it can relax more. Then it doesn't have to be so hyper vigilant.
Right. And how does that sound to you as a way forward?
Yes. It sounds like that's the way to go.
So anything else this part needs from you in its request around getting to know you, you getting to know it and listening to it and not going fast?
It wants the assurance that I stay my age. That it's like it doesn't want me to be taken over by the younger part, by the younger me's. It wants me to be able to be to stay with the awareness of where I am in life now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's it.
Yeah. And do you feel like we're on the right path for that? Or is there something we need to change, add, subtract?
No, I think we're on the right path.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
It's asking me that to not let all the other protectors get too close to the exile if I go there.
Right. Very important. Yeah. Before any exile work, we will check for all the protectors. We'll check for self-energy in both of us.
And actually, it's also saying that it wants me to recognize that it really doesn't want to get stopped. Doesn't matter if it doesn't have to have a temper tantrum, but it really doesn't want to be stopped. And that's the truth. It just wants me to take that at face value. That is who it is.
Accept it for what it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Does it feel like a good place to stop?
Yeah.
Sounds like you've learned a lot about this part.
Yeah.
And that you've provided some of that space for it. That it's given you lots of useful information about what it needs, what other parts need, how to do the work safely, what to look out for.
Yeah. And I don't need to go into it. We'll stop here, but I can see how often this part has been triggered by either something my daughter has done or something that has happened to her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like it gets, yeah. Anyway.
Well, we had discovered that it's exile that it's protecting carries shame. And at least in the story you were telling about the recital, it sounded like
she had shame.
At least and you experiencing yourself in her shoes, you would have really felt that shame.
Yeah, I would have felt that shame. I mean, I'm really glad that my own feelings didn't hit me before the day after. Because then I might not have been able to be there for her the way I was afterwards. Or maybe
the shock absorbers.
Yeah. Shock absorbers. Yeah.
Yeah. We need them. We need them, and also we can complement them and do one better when we are leading them.
With self.
Mm-hmm. If self is there, if the part carrying shame wasn't burdened with that, then that experience would have been different for you. It wouldn't have provoked the response at all, in theory.
And I think we are all, I wouldn't be surprised if we are getting back to the same exile as was at the bottom of what we talked about, was behind what we talked about last time.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
great.
Let's see. It's more parts.
Yeah.
No, this was awesome.
I think so. And especially, we started the conversation with you're saying, I don't know where to go. And, it's common to have this kind of concern about going too many places, or what are we doing here? What are we doing next? And fortunately, there are typically multiple protectors per exile. So starting with whatever is up will often kind of funnel down to the same place. So we're doing it. We're meeting the protectors that are coming up around an exile. Mm-hmm.
Well, this is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Hope we can do it again soon.
Yes, I hope so too.
Okay.
Take care and have a good Saturday.
Okay, you too.
Bye.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Yvonne, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows? That might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube. And they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.